Hey guys, this is E with Scrapbooking with Me, and we are back with this little journal that we started and the Friday freebie. Let me find the Friday freebie. I also printed a few of the pages that I'm going to be working with. This is a new collection. It should be up, I'm hoping to get it up tomorrow afternoon, but if I don't, it may be Monday. But this one is called Peach Tea, T-E-A. And I have made 4 pages of tags for you guys using this collection. And then I printed for my journal covers, I printed some of the background pages. That's a background page. And then this is a journal page. This is a background page. And that's a background page. And a background page. And then a journal page. A journal page, and a journal page, and a journal page. And I think I printed one of them twice, but that's okay, we'll use it. So I wanted to print just a few of these for myself so that I could cover this, and then I can get started on the signatures. So the first thing that we're going to do is pull out these little pockets that I've got here. I need to get all of those out of the way so that we can start covering some of this. Alright, I am, and you know, I should have probably covered before I glued these pockets down. So if you want to do that, go ahead and cover yours before you glue these pockets down. I don't think I'm going to be able to slide any of this paper down in there. We'll see how close I can get. But anyway, it's not a big deal if I don't. It just makes it a little bit more uniform, and it makes it where you can see where your pocket starts a little bit better. So for the front, what are we going to use for the front? I love them all. That's my problem. I'm going to use every one of them. I think I might use this one. It's got a little bit of blue in it, and then the peaches. And I think I just want to get that little teapot on there. Now this frame, or this background, is a little bit larger than an 8.5 by 11. So what I'm going to do is just kind of center it up about like that. I'll have a little bit of this showing, a little bit of that showing here and here, but we're going to cover this part with probably some lace anyway, so it's not going to make a big deal of difference. But I am going to put some ink on it, and that's just going to help it blend in a little bit better. So I noticed that we sold quite a few of the file folders today. So it looks like some of you guys are planning on making some of these. And then I had a couple of people that said that you had file folders and that you was starting on yours now. So that's great. Someone even said that they were going to make a couple of these for their purse. Put in their purse. You know, these would make, if you made them like half the size, they would make really good little journal things to put in your purse that had pockets in them where you could put like your receipts and maybe coupons and things like that. So always a way to use things. Okay, so I'm just going to find a pencil, and I just want to trim it about right there. Now you measure yours because you may have yours a little bit different size than mine. I'm just measuring mine by holding it up and putting a mark on it. Yeah, that's going to be great. Now I am going to round these corners, even though they're not going to come out all the way. I still want to round them a little bit because that'll just make it look a little bit better, I think. Let's see, I'm going to use the smaller one. There we go. Now I'm not going to round these because they're not rounded on here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of ink around this. I don't know how much of this I'll get done. I may just get the pages covered. I don't know. We shall see. Okay. See, I like that. The brown color with all of this. I think it makes it work well together. Okay, we're going to ink. We're going to ink this up. Now we're going to put glue on it. So pretty outside, but it is sure hot. Hot and humid. I think our heat index next week is supposed to be way on up in the triple digits. Alright. You can use your glue stick on this. Just make sure you get a good amount of glue, because this being a thicker paper, you just need to have it to where it will stick well. I think I'll start down here at the bottom. Even it up, and then maybe I can move to the top. I like that. I like that already. Okay, so we've got another one here, and what I'm going to do is see if, let's just say this one, if I cut it, how close it will come to going down inside that pocket. But trim it back just a little bit. Thank all of you who have purchased our kits, our mystery kits. Oh my goodness, they are going like crazy, and we put a ton more together today. I'm going to trim some of this off because I don't need all of this down in there. So I think I'm going to trim it about right there. So we put a lot more together today and sent those out. We're just about to get caught up with orders. But if you're wanting one, you better hurry. They're going fast. Okay, I'm just going to around that corner right there, and then put a little ink on them. I've got Valentine to put up, and I've got a beach one, lighthouses and beach, and then I have, let's see, what else do I have? Got Easter up. I don't know. Then I think I've got a couple that are just going to be like a miscellaneous. They're not necessarily going to be a particular season or anything like that. They'll be just basically miscellaneous. So I've got a few more to put up. I've just got to get them separated and see how many I'm going to be able to make out of what I have printed. Because I'm trying to, I'm getting you at least 30 pages, and I'm trying to add a few more if I have them. So, and someone had said they purchased one and they purchased the spring, but they said please don't include, let me get this turned right first, don't include any Easter. Well, the spring is not going to be Easter, it's going to be spring. The Easter is separate. You can either purchase an Easter or you can purchase a spring. They're completely different. Ugh, I got lots of glue on my fingers that time. There we go. Got that down in there, and now that pocket shows much better. But I am going to try to ink it a little bit. I'm going to bend it out like this. Put a little ink on it. So do all this before you put yours together. Just makes it a whole lot easier. And if you've already glued it up, you can just do what I'm doing. When I'm making things on the fly, sometimes I do things backwards because I don't think about it hard enough. Okay, That's good. And then we can put something right here. I don't know if that little piece that I cut off would go there or not. Actually, it probably would, wouldn't it? Yeah, I could probably just put it there. And you'll just have where the pocket is, and we won't waste this little piece. Brandon was helping me put the kits together today, and he said, good grief, there's so much stuff in here. He said, is all this stuff that you put in one journal? And I said, well, no, actually, this is probably enough for almost 2 journals that's in here. But I do put a lot of this. It's just that I don't put quite this much. But I'm just putting extra for you guys because I have it. Whoops. I'm going to move that up a little bit because that looks crooked to me. Okay. So there we go. Got the pocket, and then we got all that covered. So now we can do this one. And see, I think our tags are going to fit in there nicely. Oh, yeah. Let's do another background over here. I think I want to do the one with the more lace. Yeah. There'll be a couple of different colors. They won't be the same color going through there. He said, well, I was going to say, if you put this much or this many items in your journals, then I can see why it takes you a while to make them. I said, well, it does take me a while to make them, and I do include lots of extras, but not quite this many. I said, I'm just cleaning out my vault and giving these guys as much as I can in their kits. That way they'll have lots of things to play with. Lots and lots. Let's see. It'll depend on how well I glued where that. Yeah, that'll go down in there. Now I'm going to try to trim these the same. That way they'll look more uniform. So I'm just going to mark that. Alicia went to the doctor today. She's sick. She's been sick for a week, and I've been trying to get her to go to the doctor. And she's as stubborn as her daddy was. No, maybe me. Her daddy wasn't stubborn about that kind of thing. He went to the doctor really too much, I think. But anyway, no, he didn't go too much. He just had to go a lot. But if he got sick, he went to the doctor. He didn't just sit around and try to get better on his own. He would go to the doctor. I'm the one who tries to get better on my own. But anyway, I finally convinced her today that she needed to go because her ear was bothering her really bad. And I said, you probably got an ear infection. You need to go and get it taken care of because you'll mess around and lose some of your hearing. So she went, and she didn't get to see our normal doctor, so she was not happy. He was off today, Dr. Thomas. And she had to see a nurse practitioner, and she said she spent like 2 minutes in my room. I said, well, did she give you medicine? Did she diagnose you? She said, yeah, she did. She told me what I had, and she gave me medicine and a shot. So she said, it's okay. She said, I'm just so used to Dr. Thomas coming in and petting me. And I said, oh, yeah, you like Dr. Thomas because he comes in there and pets on you and loves on you because you're my kid. And he's a whole lot different than seeing somebody that you don't really know. And she said, yeah, when I went in, and they said that we always request to see him when we go in there. And she said, when they told me he wasn't in, she said, I got so upset. She said, I started to turn around and walk out. I said, well, I'm glad you didn't. Okay, this one's wanting to be stubborn and not go down in there like I want it to. So I'm going to put that down up there, and then hopefully I can work this in. I hope. Whoops. Look at me just tearing that side up. I think since I've already torn it up, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up and put that down, and then I'll glue that back down. See how much easier it would have been if I'd put this paper down before? That's okay. I didn't tear anything. I just pulled that loose there. Okay. Now, looks pretty good. It's not perfectly straight, but it's straight-ish. See, how did that go? Like that? I think so. Or it might have went this way. I don't know which way it went. Let me look down in here. And I think it went with the lace at the top. According to what I'm seeing down in there. And Aaron's not feeling well either. He has allergies real bad. And so he is fighting his allergies today. This is what happens when you try to punch it with glue on it. Yeah. So he, did I just do that one backwards? No, I didn't. I did it right. So he messaged me and said, Nene, I'm not feeling good. I said, well, have you taken medicine? Yes, ma'am. Mama give me 2 medicines. And so I'm laying down, but he said, I just don't feel good. I said, well, you and Alicia evidently have got the bug. He said, Nene, I don't have any bugs. I said, no, I don't mean you have bugs. You've got the bug. You've got the sickness bug. He said, oh, okay. She came over here yesterday and tried to work a little bit, and she finally ended up leaving. And she called me back when she got home, and she said, Mom, I said, well, what's going on? She said, I'm wrapped up with 2 quilts on the couch. She said, I'm freezing to death. I said, you got a fever. She said, I'm having chills. I said, you don't have chills and cover up like that in the middle of summertime unless you're having a fever. You've probably got a fever and something's going on, some kind of infection that your body's trying to fight off. And she said, all I know is I do not feel good. I said, so I texted her this morning and I said, get up and go to the doctor. And she said, I haven't had my coffee yet. I said, then get your coffee and go to the doctor. There we go. All right, we got those. Those are cute. I like that. And then these will be easier to cover because they don't have pockets at the bottom. We're going to put these covers on and then put the little pockets on that we've got going there. So let's see which one I want to put here. I think I might put this one here. So anyway, you may just get to see me cover all of these today and get to see pieces of the new kit that's not up yet. I love peaches. I mean, the fruit peaches. And I love peach blooms and blossoms. I think they're so pretty. So when I got some peaches the other day, and they weren't as good as what I normally get, but I did buy them from the grocery store. Normally I buy them from the little peach park, and they're really good, but these I bought from the grocery store, and they wasn't that great. I'm sure they had been from a hot house or something. But I ate them anyway. I didn't waste them. Probably one of my favorite fruits is peaches. And I love peach sherbet ice cream. Melina can make the best peach sherbet ice cream. Okay, make sure I got it the right way up. So what's going on with you guys? I'm always yapping, telling you what's going on with me. You guys got to let me know what's going on with you. Some of you do in the comments, you let me know. But then others, I don't hear from you in a long time and I get concerned about you. Ouch. I hit my funny bone. It wasn't funny either. Alright, now we can put the little pocket here. And I'm not sure I want to put that on now because look, it's going to cover up most of my background. I may end up just putting, I may end up putting a little pocket. Let's see, what did I do with those extra pieces I had? Anybody know? See, I don't want to cover up all of that page. Of course, I could put it here. I could also trim it a little bit. Let's trim it and see what it looks like. Well, look how crooked. So, could put it there, and then you could use this for journaling too. I think we might do that, but I think I'm going to trim it just a little bit more, and I'm going to fold it to see if I can trim it even-ish. No guarantees. Yeah, that's better. Put that right there. And let's see. I probably will cover this up with something, some of the ephemera, because this is not anything to do with coffee, so I'll probably just cover that up. Put a little piece of ephemera or something on there. Now, in order to be able to get into this one well enough, I think I will put a little pull right there. And I should have just put it on the front, but I put it on both. That's fine. It's not a biggie. Yeah, I'm just going to put it right there. And you'll still be able to see most of that page. I'm just going to glue all of this back part down, and then it'll be easier to pull apart when we start to put a tag in there. There we go. Yeah, we'll put a little something, maybe even a piece, you know, one of these flowers or something over that. We can cut some of these out if we need to. And then, let's see, on this side, I'm thinking that I might put this portion. And I got an idea what I might put at the bottom of this one. So the Friday freebie is up on our blog. That's where all of our freebies are now, on the new blog. That link is always below the video. And, you know, all we ask is that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then you can download them for free. But you do need to be a subscriber. I think I just had a glob of glue right there, didn't I? Oh, it's trying to stick everywhere. Okay. Try to get these as even as we can. It don't have to be perfect. Okay, there we go. Now I think right down here, I'm going to put a piece of lace, like a small one right down this way, and that was to a show. I had this laid out to put there, but I don't want to put that because it's going to cover my lace. So I'm just going to put a little small piece of the scallop lace right down here at the bottom, but I don't have that pulled out right now, so I'm going to kind of go on, work my way through. Let's cover these next. I'm going to get my whole pages covered first. Then we can always go back if we need to. Let's see. I think I'll put this side with the teacups because I've already got one with the teapot on the front, I think. I think this is the one I printed twice anyway. And you don't have to use your collection pieces for this. You can use, you know, book pages or whatever you want. I'm just using these because I have them printed and ready to go. But you can always use some book pages or something else to cover these. I'm sitting here cold myself, but I think it's because Brendan turned the air up pretty high this morning because, or turned it down pretty low this morning because it was so hot out here. And now that the sun's going down, I'm getting kind of cool. This room gets hot. There we go. because it used to be a sunroom. And so it's got windows all the way on two sides, all the way from one end to the other. And even though we have blinds on them, the sun still comes through. And I don't like blackout shades. A lot of people say, oh, you should get blackout shades for your bedroom. I don't like blackout shades. I like to see when the sun's coming up and when it's going down, and I like to see outside. Now I've got blackout shades on my patio doors only because they're the sun would come right straight into my living room and hit my couches and be right on top of me, so I have blackout shades there, but I don't like them just in a room that I'm working in. I like to see everything outside. Okay, there's that one. We can put this one on. So we're going to use this one on here. Does anybody else like peach and peaches and peach colors and that kind of thing? Am I the only one? I don't have a lot more to say today. It's been kind of, I mean, we've just been working, but there hasn't been a lot of traffic or anything in and out, so hadn't been a lot going on. And I thought all day today it was Thursday. All day long I thought it was Thursday. And then Brendan said something about it being Friday and he needed to go to town and take care of a bill or something, and I said, what? It's Friday? And he said, yeah, didn't you know it was Friday? And I said, well, no, I thought it was Thursday. I've been sitting here thinking it was Thursday all day. I said, no, unfortunately, it's Friday. I said, well, maybe that's why I feel a little bit tired. Goodness, the glue is globbing today. Okay. Cute. Now I think I'm going to do the same with these and these. I'm just going, I'll have to print some more paper anyway. I'm going to wait and cover those later. I kind of like the way that looks right there. I think I can put a little something here. This is where I believe I was going to put this side tuck like that, I believe. Wasn't that where I was going to put it? And I think that'll be okay because I still have all my flowers showing, and then the edge of that will peek out. But I think I'm going to trim this off just a little bit more. Just a tiny bit. Just want a little bit more of that frame to show than what's showing right now. Yeah, that'll make it better right there. And I'm just going to use my scissors and trim that corner. I don't look like I cut them even. Let's see. I did, but it doesn't look like it. And then we'll cover this with some of the ephemera. I've got some washi strips that I'm making in with this kit, so I'll cover that with some of the washi strips. Because I've got some that are going to be wide and some that are going to be narrow. Oops, I just stripped that one, didn't I? I'm about down to the end of my glue. I've got to refill. Well, that's unfortunate, but I think it's going to be okay. Let's put a little dusting of powder on there so it won't stick to anything. And then once it dries, it should be fine. It's going to be under that anyway. Right. Yep. So there's our little side tuck. Then I think that's going to be all except covering those other places. And getting my lace there. Covering these. I don't know that I'm going to put anything over here, like any type of pocket. I think I just want all of that to show. We'll kind of decide when we start putting, I can't talk. Start putting the signatures in. So let me see if I've got any that I can go ahead and put here. I don't know if I've got any or not. We may have to start on some tags. I've got 2 more pieces that are already printed. Now I could print more, but I don't want to print any right this minute. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this where I can put this in there. And all of these pieces that we're cutting off, they can be tags and journal cards. So don't throw any of those away. They will be just about the right size for tags and journal cards for this type journal. Okay, while I am doing this, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be fine. I got a little carried away with teapots and teacups, but I just think teapots and teacups are pretty. There we go. And now let's cut them both off like we did over here. And that way we can cut them both at the same time, and hopefully they'll be... Ooh, that's going to cut my teapot in half. That's okay. It'll be all right. It will be okay. I've got teapots that I'm going to put in the ephemera that we'll be able to add wherever we want anyway, so not to worry about it. What is our motto? Not going to worry about it. Okay. Now let's flip back over here. Alright, so I'm going to round this corner on this one. Yep. Now I know all of these I'm not inking, but I can go back and ink when I put these down. There's enough of the page that's showing, or the background page that's showing, that I can go in and ink it without any problem. Now this, I am going to try to pull up a little bit in ink before I put my paper down, because then if a little of it hits that background, it's not going to hurt anything. Yeah, see there? You can do that like that. Let's do this one. Matter of fact, you can just do it like that because that's going to be covered. Okay. So how many of you purchased one of the mystery journal kits? Let me know in the comments below if you purchased one and which one you purchased. I do have a, I think I only have one, let me think what it's called. Steampunk. I only have one steampunk available, and it will probably not go up until Monday. So if you have been kind of looking for a steampunk one, I only have one, and it won't be up till next week. Oh my goodness, this glue is drying really fast today because it's so humid and it's not wanting to go down in there. So we'll just do it this way, kind of like I did the other one, and we'll just work our way down. There. Now, took a little bit of an act of Congress, didn't it? And just to make sure that that's not got a little fold in it or anything, I'm just going to do it like that. And then, let's see, this one. Nope. This one goes with this. Yep. Look at there. We're going to have the other part of the little teapot at the bottom. I need to round one of these corners, which would be this one. And someone asked how my foot was doing. As long as I don't sit all day like I have today, or walk on it like I have today, the swelling stays down. But last night it was swollen probably about the size of 2 feet. because I had been on it all day and I had sat with it, you know, hanging down at my desk. So, I mean, the pain has, you know, I've still got some pain in it, but it's not bad. It's not, I mean, I can tolerate it. It's not as bad as my jaw hurts. So, but it's doing better. A lot better. Still got some swelling, but that's to be expected with a fracture. I've got some glue right there. And no, I did, somebody else asked, did I get crutches? And did I get a walking boot and all of that? I did not get crutches. I told him I did not want crutches because I am not good with crutches. Never have been, even when I was younger, and I would end up falling and breaking my neck. So I told him no crutches and no cast. He wanted to put it in a cast, and I said no, because that would mean crutches, and I just can't do crutches. I do have a walking boot. I can't leave it on all day because it, especially when my foot's hanging down, because my foot does swell, and it just gets too miserably hot, and I can't stand for my feet to be hot. So I take it off usually in the mornings when I take my shower, and then I usually don't put it back on until later in the afternoon. Or if I'm going to do a lot of walking, I'll put it back on, but it'll be fine. It will be fine. As my husband used to say, you're a tough old broad. Oh, me. I grew up in my family. You had to learn how to be tough. I was raised with 4 mean boys, so I had to learn how to be tough real quick, or they would have killed me. They was mean. And they treated me just like one of the boys, so. And I learned to never cry. No matter how bad I was hurting, I never cried, because that just made my brothers that much meaner when I cried. So even when I was little, I wouldn't cry. My brother one time, I haven't told y'all the story in a long time now. One time my brother, he decided that he was going to make me cry. Because, you know, they were just mean like that. They were just boys, and they wanted to do anything they could to aggravate their little sister. And so he decided he was going to make me cry. He said, I will make you cry. And I said, no, you won't. I was probably, I might have been 10 or 11, maybe 12. And I said, no, you won't. And he said, yeah, oh yeah, I will. I'm going to make you cry. And I said, nope, I'm not going to cry. He said, oh yeah. So he started twisting my arm behind me. You know, grabbed my arm and started twisting it behind me. And he said, cry. And he'd pull on it and twist. And I'd say, no. He said, cry. And I said, no. And it was hurting like crazy. And he kept saying, cry, Sid, cry. And I said, no, I'm not going to cry. And he pulled my shoulder out of socket. But I didn't cry. He said, oh, my dad came out and said, what in the world is going on out here? And so my brother told him, I think I might put that there. My brother told him, and by this time my arm was already swelling, and of course I was red-faced, and he could tell that I was in pain. And he said, what is, he called me sis. He said, what is it, sis? I said, I think my arm's broke. And he said, you're what? And my brother Ronald said, I think I broke her arm, Dad. And oh my goodness, my dad flew into him. And I think he beat him half to death. And he said, now that I'm finished with you, come on, let's see if we can take you to the doctor. It was just out of socket. It wasn't broke. But anyway, I didn't cry. And it made my brother so mad. But my dad said, if you ever do that, anything like that again, he said, you will pay dearly. And he said, I mean, from now on, you will pay dearly. My dad always took up for me, but the boys were just mean. They were all boy, that's for sure. Okay. So I've still got 1 or 2 more pages I need to cover, and then I need to cover the back, but I need to print more in order to do that. So I'm not going to do that right now. Now, I think that I will put this as a corner tuck somewhere, and I think it's going to have to be here. Not have to be, but I think it'll look better here. And then I'll cover it with some of the paper or ephemera. And I'll still have my teacups peeking out, and that will be okay. So let's see what ephemera we might cover that with. Yeah, I think I might cover it with that. And I'm just going to do it right now. Anybody else raised up with boys? Now, I had 3 sisters, but they were a lot older than me. I was like a last thought child. And so they were already married and gone by the time I got old enough to know anything about anything. So I really didn't, I don't ever remember my sisters being at home. Because I think I was 5 when the last one married. So I don't remember all of that. All I can remember is just mean boys. Okay, that looks like a smear of something, but it's actually in the background. I added a little bit of brown to it, and I don't know if I forgot and smeared it a little bit there or not, but it'll be all right. It's okay. If nothing else, I'll put a little peach flower over that. Yeah, I think that's cute. And I'm going to glue all of this back part down because I don't want but a single pocket. And this was basically made if you wanted a double pocket, but I just want a single one. And yes, I always put too much glue. Where's my paper towel? Have I already used all of them up? I guess I'll just wipe it on my clothes. There we go. So then we've got a little pocket down in there. I'm excited now. I'm going to get started putting the signatures in. Oh, we'll do that next. Isn't that pretty? I love it. And I have decided in here, if you're making yours now if you've already made it like me, you can still adjust before you put your paper on. But in here, you need to leave a little bit less of a gap. Don't leave quite that much. Leave about maybe 1/8 or maybe 1/4. I think I left 3/8, and that's a little bit much. So when I put my lace on, the way I'm going to adjust mine, when I put my lace on here, I will kind of pull it together just a little bit when I put my lace on. But that's the only way that I'm going to adjust mine. It's not a big deal. But if you're just now going to put yours together, when you leave this little gap, just leave it a little bit smaller. I left mine at 3/8. Leave it maybe a little over 1/8 or maybe right at 1/4. Don't leave it quite this wide because that leaves kind of a big enough gap that it lets your journal kind of, well, especially this one because I only have 2 little things on there. But once I put my lace and everything on, it's going to be fine. It's not going to be a problem. You can also use some brown tape to put these together. Just leave a little gap between your sections. So there's different ways to join them together. You don't have to do this, but I think this is going to be cute. So how many signatures did I say we'd have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signatures in here. Now, I'm not going to make them real thick signatures because I don't want this to just, you know, blow up, and I want it to be fat, but I don't want it to blow up to where it's like this. So I'm probably going to use maybe 5 pages per signature, and that will be a lot. So, but that is where we are today. And then when I work on this next, it may be one day next week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. I'm not sure. I have some other things I've got to get done this weekend. So maybe Tuesday or Wednesday before we come back to this one and put the signatures in. but I'll have it ready for signatures the next time that you see it. All right, guys, we will talk to you later. Don't forget, this journal kit, the peach tea, will be up probably by tomorrow afternoon, if not Monday, so you can check out the store for that one. We will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.